Easier. I'm going to call to order the special session of the Eagle Mountain Community Facilities District Board. Roll call, please.
Chairman Kavanaugh?
Here.
Vice Chair Brown?
Here.
Chairman DePorter? Oh, Board Member DePorter.
Here.
Board Member Magazine is not here yet. Board Member Yates?
Present.
Board Member Tolis?
Here.
Board Member Leger?
Here.
Any speaker cards?
No.
Consideration of approving the Eagle Mountain Community Facility District Board meeting minutes of June 15th, 2017. There will be no staff report. Request a
Chairman,
motion.
so moved.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
For items 2 and 3, there'll be one staff report. I'll open the public hearing. Public hearing regarding Resolution EMCFT 2018-01, approving the tentative budget of the district for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2018, and ending June 30th, 2019, setting a hearing date for the budget. Grady?
Yes, Mayor and Council, the item before you is for the Eagle Mountain Community Facilities District, and the budget is proposed at $409,786. And this district was formed in 1996 for the purpose of constructing infrastructure for the Eagle Mountain subdivision. This will eventually be basically retired in about 3 years, and staff recommends approval of this budget tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from board members? Okay, any speaker cards?
No, Chairman.
Okay. Close the public hearing. Consideration of Resolution EMCFD 2018-01 as just presented. Any further board discussion? Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Chairman, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman 6-0.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. And now I will open the special session of the Cottonwoods Maintenance District. And roll call vote, please.
Chairman Kavanaugh?
Here.
Vice Chair Brown?
Here.
Board Member DePorter?
Here.
Board Member Magazine is not here yet. Board Member Yates?
Present.
Board Member Tolis?
Here.
Board Member Leger?
Thank you. Any speaker cards?
No, Chairman.
No. Consideration of approving Cottonwoods Maintenance District Board meeting minutes for June 15th, 2017. There will be no staff report. Any speaker cards?
No, Chairman.
Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman 6-0.
For items 2 and 3, there'll be one staff report. Open the public hearing. Public hearing regarding Resolution CMD 2018-01, approving the tentative budget of the district for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018, and ending June 30th, 2019, providing notification to the property owners and setting a hearing date for the budget and annual assessments. Grady?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Cottonwoods Maintenance District was formed in 1999 for the purpose of maintaining the common areas of the Cottonwoods subdivision. The budget that is proposed for next fiscal year is $6,642. Again, this is something that we've been doing for a number of years, and staff recommends approval of this.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board members?
Chairman.
Yes? Have a question?
Grady, when does this expire, or is this ongoing?
This is an ongoing, whereas the other, this is an operating type of arrangement, whereas Eagle Mountain is a paying off the debt.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Any speaker cards?
No, Chairman.
Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing. Consideration of Resolution CMD 2018-01, approving the tentative budget of the district for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018, and ending June 30th, 2019, providing notification to property owners and setting a hearing date for the budget and annual assessment. Any further board discussion? If not, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Okay, now we'll go into our regular meeting. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
and is Dr. Kathy Northrup, are you here with us? Okay. Okay, then in our invocation, we'll just have a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Everybody could be seated. Roll call, please.
Mayor Kavanaugh,
Here.
Vice Mayor Brown,
Here.
Councilmember DePorter,
Here.
Councilmember Magazine, Councilmember Yates,
Present.
Councilmember Tolis,
Here.
Councilmember Leger.
Okay, first is a proclamation declaring May 3rd, 2018 as Fountain Hills Day of Prayer in the town. And I will read the proclamation. Whereas the town of Fountain Hills will join together with the entire nation on May 3rd, 2018 to celebrate the 67th anniversary of the National Day of Prayer. Whereas Congress, by Public Law 100-307, has called on our citizens to reaffirm the role of prayer in our society and to honor the religious diversity that our freedom permits by recognizing a National Day of Prayer. And whereas we are ever mindful of the heroic men and women of our armed forces, especially those serving abroad and in harm's way. And whereas we pray for God's blessings for our governments at town, state, and national levels to shower us with strength and wisdom in order to meet the challenges before us and to work together to bring hope for our community and to enhance the well-being of all citizens and families of Fountain Hills. And whereas we pray for strength and divine direction in our educational systems, community businesses, media, and other places of worship. And whereas uniting in prayer gives all people of faith, regardless of their denominations or religions, an opportunity to join fellow citizens in celebrating the power and love of God and our perpetual responsibility to Him and to others. Now, therefore, I, Linda M. Kavanaugh, Mayor of the Town of Fountain Hills, Arizona, do hereby proclaim May 3rd, 2018, as Fountain Hills Day of Prayer. Is anyone here from the Day of Prayer group? Yes? Okay. Can you come up so we can take a picture with the proclamation?
That's good.
Sure, come on. The whole committee can come. Yvonne's going to take the pictures, so some of you come on this side, and I will present this here. Bob will tell us. How's that, Bob? Three.
Oh, that kind of camera.
But Would anyone like to say something?
I can't begin to tell you how proud we are of our mayor to support an effort where we're all praying for our town together. We've done this for 7 years, and this year we're doing it again. Invite everybody down to the Fountain Park Amphitheater. At 5:30 we got free hot dogs and sodas, and 6:30 we'll start a prayer service. So please come, bring your families, and the mayor will be there. Thank you.
And I'm going to read this on Thursday, and I'm going to present it there, so I can't give this to you to take with you right now, but I promise to keep it safe and bring it with me, okay? Yes. Okay. Thank you all. Okay, now I have a second proclamation to read. This is proclamation declaring May 6th to the 12th, 2018 as Municipal Clerks Week in the town of Fountain Hills. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organization. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Linda M. Kavanaugh, Mayor of the Town of Fountain Hills, Arizona, do recognize the week of May 6th through May 12th, 2018, as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Bevelyn J. Bender, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Grady?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Most of us know Bev in the audience here, and the council staff and I are very privileged to work with such a professional as Bev. Bev came to the town in 1994, started working for the town. She was promoted to town clerk in 2003, and has been working for the last 15 years in that capacity. Just about everything you can imagine in this community comes through Bev and her office, and I rely on her professional advice. I know that she is our elections official, and all of the council members and candidates that run for office really like and respect her. She is just an incredible person that we have working for us. Very fortunate. I have not had a clerk of her caliber in any other community. She really exemplifies the ideal municipal clerk. With that, I have a small little token of appreciation on behalf of the council, mayor, and myself. Kind of looking at us like more work.
Bev, come on.
Bev.
No.
Go, Bev.
You're ready to get back in there. Madam Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
I get to work in a lot of municipalities across the valley and even in Tucson. And Bev's reputation precedes herself because every community that I work in, usually she has a counterpart that says, "How's Bev Bender doing?" And so I just want to reach out as far east as Surprise, as far south as Tolleson. They know you everywhere, and they speak very highly of you. So we're honored to have you. Thank you.
All right, anybody else want to say something? No? Just that I'm there every day with you, and it's a great pleasure to work with you. You are the most professional person I've ever worked with, and we're very proud to have you as our clerk. And so, glad that we can have this time to honor you. Okay. And now I have one announcement before we continue. Item number 9 has been removed from the agenda at the request of the applicant. That is item number 9. So if you came here for item number 9, we will not be discussing that tonight. All right, next, economic development. And I did have a meeting today, so I do have a report. Okay. At the Economic Development Committee meeting of MAG, which is the Maricopa Association of Governments, we had a presentation by Dean Kyle Squires of ASU's Fulton School of Engineering. ASU has one of the largest engineering programs in the United States. I didn't know that, with more than 21,000 students. These students represent all 50 states, Puerto Rico, and 121 other countries. The field of engineering has a significant impact on our economy, providing emphasis on innovation, discovery, design, and research that result in millions of dollars on external funding, and we're just very lucky to have ASU here, right here in the Valley. It was also an interesting study done by the Thunderbird School of Global Management that compared Silicon Valley and the Valley of the Sun. Huge difference in cost of living. And I gave our council people all a copy of this because I thought it was so interesting. Silicon Valley is actually 49% higher cost of living than the national average, and our own Valley of the Sun is only 8% higher. Educational attainment, however, needs improvement on our end. Only 11.1% in the Valley have graduate degrees, while Silicon Valley's number is 22.4%. Income in Silicon Valley is almost double what it is here, which is good for them since rent is also 3 times as high. For a 900 square foot apartment, and we all know how small that is, the rent in Silicon Valley is $3,000, while here it's $1,200. Median home price is also what you would expect. Silicon Valley, $1.175 million, and that's the average, while here it's $223,700. Interesting comparison, and good facts to know for what we're trying to do is draw companies here. We also have a much better quality of life, which we, Thunderbird, discovered is one of the prime factors, more than anything else, is the quality of life when they think about moving their company here or someone decides to leave a job there and to move to Arizona. So we're lucky with that. We have a great quality of life. We all know that, right? We enjoy it every day. Anyway, very interesting statistics. Now, let's see, we're up to call to the public. Do we have any speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor, we have 2 cards, Jim Judge, followed by Bo James.
Okay. And these, of course, are items that are not on our agenda. You have 3 minutes.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, and tonight, Bev, congratulations to you. My name is Jim Judge. I've lived in Fountain Hills for 14 years. I've attended all 4 of the primary property tax meetings conducted by Town Manager Grady Miller and Finance Director Greg Rudolphi. Over the last several weeks, they were all held in the community center. And I'm so impressed with the professionalism that both of these gentlemen have shown with their wealth of town knowledge. Absolutely incredible to me how well they know the town and their profession, and their complete and courteous answers to citizens' questions, and there have been many. I say kudos to these men. Greg and Grady, thank you. I'd also like to say our wonderful freedom of expression in America is in full effect in our great town. There have been lots of respectful opinions expressed regarding the proposed primary property tax. I'm convinced that our town needs to help to preserve and continue police and fire protection, which those two things are very important to seniors like me, and I believe other folks in town. We need to fix deteriorating streets and repair buildings that have suffered because of delayed maintenance for far too long, which only results in additional cost the longer we wait. I don't think there's a better investment of our money than to approve the primary property tax. We have such a unique community, a town that's just, to me, above all. And it's a place we've all chosen to live. So it's well worth our care and our support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and congratulations, Bev. Bo James, I'm a resident of Fountain Hills here. Moved here voluntarily after traveling the world in the Navy, and really love this town. And I want to thank you all for putting the primary property tax on the ballot for those of us so we can choose and vote for this tax, which we need for the revenue. I know we had some great presentations by our finance staff and the town manager. I wish more had attended them so there'd be more people who are educated. I firmly believe that those people who have studied the issue will vote yes, and I thank every one of you who have been able to state your opinions. I know Grady can't because of law. He's got to be neutral, and the town presentations have been very neutral. But I wish and I hope all of our citizens vote for this very needed primary property tax so we can keep this a great town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No, Mayor.
Okay, and we have, sorry, Cecil, Councilman Yates, I skipped you.
Oh, no worries.
You have a report for us.
Last Wednesday was the Maricopa Association of Government Regional Council meeting, and along with everything that everyone's been reporting, as we all know, the valley is in high growth mode, and with high growth mode, we're preparing for the growth. Infrastructure is going on all over the valley, primarily in the West Valley. You see it everywhere. The I-10, the 202, well, that's on the East Valley, the 101 loop. There's lots going on. Just like here in Fountain Hills, a lot of these contracts, because if you don't bid them out and get them started, some of the contracts are coming in a little bit higher because construction costs are going up. So we're seeing the same thing. Also a concern, it's exciting for growth, but we are lacking in for-rent apartments, market rate apartments, as we've all been hearing. So we are kind of ahead of the curve with some of the market rate apartments that we have being built here in Fountain Hills, but we're way behind the 8 ball. With all the good news comes a little bit of news to prepare yourself. With the high costs, and you mentioned, you know, $1,100, $1,200 for an average apartment in Phoenix compared to San Francisco, that's great, but that's still $1,200. And a lot of folks can't even afford that, and so it's putting some folks at risk for homelessness. So homelessness is somewhat on the rise. But with you know, the law of supply and demand, if we just keep adding some more apartments, some more housing that's affordable, not necessarily affordable housing, we can cure this. So the regional council is looking at this, and we're in a good spot, but there's just some things to be concerned about. But it's funny to hear the same theme over and over again, and that's invest in infrastructure, just kind of what we're talking about here in Fountain Hills. It's going on all over the valley, so I think we're on the right path. And to echo what Councilman DePorter reported last month, the Text 911, it's a great tool in the event that it's an emergency and you can't physically call somebody. You can text 911, and now it's set up that you can text this. So if there's an emergency and for whatever reason you can't speak or you don't want to be heard, use that service. It's a wonderful service, and it was put on by the Regional Council. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. So I don't skip anyone. Anyone else have any reports? Nope. Okay. Consent agenda, we have 6 items. Can I get a?
Approval.
Second?
Thank you. All 6. And I need a roll call vote on that.
Mayor Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Yates,
Aye.
Councilmember DePorter,
Aye.
Councilmember Magazine, Councilmember Leger,
Aye.
Councilmember Toles.
Aye.
Mayor 7-0.
Thank you. Okay. Regular agenda item, consideration of a request by the La Strada Condominium Homeowners Association for a waiver of a condition of approval to allow residential egress at North Mountainside Drive via the west gate of the La Strada condominium development. Grady?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This item, our Development Services Director has a presentation, which he will be giving you shortly. So.
Thank you, Mayor. La Strada condominiums are located at 13600 North Fountain Hills Boulevard. They're across from the Safeway Shopping Plaza. The condo's rear driveway on the west side of it also accesses Mountainside Drive, but it's currently gated due to a condition imposed by council when the original plat was approved in 2002, that it was only to be used for an emergency access, two-way, and trash trucks could exit only. The La Strada Condominium Association is requesting that council agree to waive that condition to allow the gated driveway to be used as an exit-only access onto Mountainside Drive for the condominium residents and any larger vehicles that may have difficulty turning around inside the development. The request for the waiver is to allow for exit only. This map shows the location of the gate in question. That's the yellow arrows pointing to that. On the east side of Mountainside Drive, between El Lago Boulevard on the south and Sunflower Drive on the north. Here's some close-ups of the gate. The upper left is looking up the hill, southwards towards El Lago. The lower left is looking down the hill, northwards towards Sunflower and Palisades. And then the right is a top-down view of the gate area, circled in red. The next slide is if you're standing in the gate looking straight out the driveway. So you're looking at basically a vacant wash area and then condos in the background. Staff has reviewed the request and done a number of site visits. Staff recommends that if council agrees to waive the condition of approval as requested, that the waiver be subject to La Strada Condos commissioning a traffic study and a sight line analysis, and that any recommendations made by those traffic engineers should be implemented prior to the gate being opened as outlined in the staff report. And that concludes me. The applicants are present if you have questions for them.
Okay. Questions, comments from Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Bob, do we have any idea why that stipulation would have been placed on the plat at the time that project was built?
We looked it up in the original 2002 approval, and it was mentioned in the staff report that at the time they had requested that it not be required, but it was left in as a stipulation and never really explained in the documentation that we can find as to why it was there.
I want to make sure I understand this. It was on the plat, but there was a comment before the plat was filed that it was a stipulation that could be removed?
No, it's a condition of the approval of the plat.
Right.
There was a request prior to the approval that not be a condition, but that wasn't voted on one way or the other, so it remained as a condition.
But we really don't have a known fact as to why this was put on the plat at the time it
I
was
couldn't
platted.
find as to why it was actually established now.
Okay, well, thank you.
Any other comments? Councilman Leger?
Mayor, if I may, thank you. Related to this topic, there's been a lot of discussion regarding the opening of the gate and the impact that may have on traffic in that particular area. It's my understanding that staff has had an opportunity to meet with folks that are concerned, and there are some additional things I believe that the town is committed to doing. Could you kind of clarify what that is for me, Grady?
That's correct. There's a neighboring homeowners association called Villa de Est, and They were looking at a speed cushion, which would be a little bit up the street to the south. And
Across the street and up the hill a little bit.
we have committed, there was a meeting held with Ms. Rita Higgins yesterday with our town engineer and our public works director, and the town is committed to painting the street with some stripes so that we can go ahead and make the street look a little bit more narrower. So you see this in other areas of town where you do that so that it looks narrower and cars will drive slower. So that's the intent. So we'll probably have a large painted median, and then we're also looking at having additional speed signs that would be installed as well. So that is, at this point, something we think would be something we need to do to help improve the safety and reduce the speeding on Mountainside. So.
Councilman Magazine?
Bob, did I understand you to say in your recommendation something about the timing? I thought you said open the gate after the suppression or not?
Yeah, the request is that if council approves it, then we would ask that it not be opened until their traffic engineering study is done, and any mitigation measures that they had been recommended be done before the gate was opened.
Okay, that second part is what I was most interested in. So the mitigation would happen before the gate was open.
Right.
I had asked, I've been out there as well, as you know, and a lot of those homes are only 12 feet from the roadway. I had asked that we monitor, or at least try to get some statistics on noise. And council received that, but without any explanation as to what the decibel levels meant. Can you address that?
And if you remember in our noise ordinance, 50 is about the average conversation decibel level. 70 is obviously a little higher than that. The ambient noise out there was, I think, around 30, 32-ish, something like that. So, but if you go with 50 as being an average conversation level, that was what between 50 and 70 were when cars did drive by.
I know this has been a tough one for a lot of people, and I understand Grady has talked about striping and signs. If they're simply signs, regular signs, I don't expect them to be more effective than when I'm going 40 miles an hour on Shea and people are going by me like it's the Indianapolis 500. You had mentioned to me the possibility of some kind of electronic signs that could tell the speed and so on. Can you speak to that?
Right. I think we're getting off the subject here, and I'm not trying to be rude, Councilmember Magazine, but this is for the La Strada only, and we're not dealing with the Villa d'Este issue tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, it's not even on the agenda or anything.
Correct. We should be steering close just to the gate access and La Strada.
Okay. I think the two are joined. I know you don't. But I'll resist going further with that, as long as the recommendation is that the gate not be opened until we actually make the changes on the road, then that sounds okay to me.
Those changes, just to be clear, those changes may or may not be part of the traffic engineer's recommendations.
Well, then,
Well, let's just be clear about that. The town engineer and the public works director have agreed to doing the paint striping to do what I had mentioned earlier. So that's outside of the La Strada traffic study and sightline issues that they're going to be evaluating. So does that make sense? They're going to be looking at what impacts cars coming out from their gate out on the mountainside will have on mountainside. And so they are required to do a engineering study for that purpose. And you're absolutely correct. Approval tonight means that the gate will remain closed until that has been done and it's been satisfactorily reviewed by the town engineer, and then it has to be implemented, the changes or recommendations before that gate would be able to allow vehicles to exit.
Thank you.
Well, I went down there, I go up and down that road all the time because I live near there. So that's kind of my cut-through street. And so I wanted to see what it was like inside La Strada. So I asked if I could come in and just drive through and see what it was like to live there, because I wanted to see the other side of it too. And what I observed is that it's a very narrow street. At the time I got there, it was garbage day, so all the garbage cans were out, and that street is hardly wide enough for the garbage truck to get down and another car to pass. The garbage truck gets to egress out of that gate. It was open on garbage day, but others don't, like FedEx and all the other big vehicles. So I can see why inside there is a problem. And also exiting out on Fountain Hills Boulevard, there's a tremendous a lot of traffic there than there was years ago when it was built. Also, I noticed that when you come out, you're coming out and you're facing nothing but wash. So either way you go when you get out, this was my picture. I'm sitting there in my car, and I'm just exiting by the gate. The shrubs on my left in that picture and the trees would definitely have to come down, and I think they're okay with that. But also, I think there's a big issue of parking on that street. I think there was an issue in parking regardless of the gate being open or closed. I also walk down that sidewalk that's on the La Strada side, and I noticed that most of the cars that park there, they park up on the sidewalk. And on the other side, they park in the dirt by the wash. Now, both are illegal, but, you know, when you say, well, why would cars do that? Well, it's pretty obvious. You come over the hill and there's a car there, and it's a dangerous situation, whether it's day or night, because someone else has to come all the way around and you're trying to get around. So I'm looking forward to the traffic study, because regardless of what happens with the gate, I still think that that road shouldn't have any parking. When I came out of that gate, I had to park. And as I pulled my car around and looked behind me at the hill, and I said, well, maybe I'll pull up a little bit further away from the hill, because I felt that I didn't want to leave my car the way it was, and of course I wouldn't illegally park on the sidewalk, right? So I just parked as far up as I could and over. So I can understand that they want this gate open, and since I use that road a lot, and I would be impacted just driving up and down, I would have to say, just from me seeing it, I think it's safe to come out if it's just egress, if those shrubs and trees are taken down, and if there's no cars allowed to park there and block the egress, because that would be a big problem if cars have to park. And as they come out, there's really nothing but wash the whole way, as you can see by that picture. So someone turning this way, they're encountering the wash first, so you're not even getting the lights of the turning cars. So that was a good thing that I discovered by being there. And just one other question, I was wondering, since that road was built, was that ever widened, or is that the original width of the road when the villas were built and La Strada? It was never changed, was it?
Randy in here? No, Randy says no.
No, okay. So I was just wondering, because, I know that we have Palisades, we've taken some what used to be people's side yards and made the road wider, and we've also done that for sidewalks. So that's the way it's always been. Okay. Well, anyway, that's my.
I'll just point out that
Yeah.
This gate was actually open for probably the last 12 years.
Yeah.
The only reason that we required them to close it is because I wasn't aware of that condition. Was we got a complaint, and we had to do the research, and we found out that they had to close the gate.
And all that time, I think I've only seen a couple of people come out, because I don't think that many people live there, and then a lot of them are not there in the summer either, so.
In the traffic counts that we did on the street, the gate was actually open during those traffic counts. So, and they were still relatively low, very, very low traffic volume for what is essentially a minor collector.
Okay. All right, well, that's all I have to say about it. Anybody else? Did you have something?
I was just going to ask, thank you, Mayor, about the traffic counts, and I saw in the report, even after a conservative, meaning you overestimated the volume of traffic, you were still far below the capacity. I too like the idea of egress, because turning left, especially on a Fountain Hills Boulevard, is way more dangerous than there. Speed's a concern over there. I used to live over there as well, and I do know that posted signs are just that, posted signs. But it sounded in the report also, even after that estimate, that still the average speed was within the range of any other street at 25 mile an hour posted speed. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe the average speed was around 33, so it was a little fast, but it wasn't out of the ordinary.
And what, Madam Mayor, and what I do like about this is they still have to prove that this is feasible before this. We're just giving them the opportunity that if it is feasible, then they'll do it. If it's not, as opposed to making them spend the time, energy, and money, and then us still deciding. So I think that's a safe.
Absolutely correct. I think the way you stated is correct. It's conditional approval.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, if I may, along the lines of what Councilman Yates was saying, I would recommend in the motion that once the traffic study is done and/or remediation occurs, that this comes back to council for final approval. So it's just not hanging out there. And also, I've had personal experience on roads where striping has been placed to narrow some of our really wide roads, and it does in fact have an impact on slowing vehicles down as well as preventing cars from passing one another. So in terms of clarifying the process, I think the intention currently was not for it to come back to council, and I'm recommending that we include that once we go through this process, that it does come back to council for final approval. Anyhow, I would
Madam Mayor?
suggest we include that in our motion.
Councilman Yates?
I'm okay, but Mitesh, because we're giving conditional approval, meaning if the study comes back and it's feasible, it's approved, but to the councilman's point, I'd like to see what it says also, but we wouldn't be able to vote on it, so how would we word that?
No, we wouldn't then be giving conditional approval, we'd be asking them to go ahead and do the traffic study and bring the results of the traffic study back at that point in time.
So just bring the results back
Yeah.
to report.
So Grady, we'd be doing the striping anyway, right? Is that what you're saying? And
Yes, we're going to be
When-
doing that.
what kind of a timeline do we have
Well,
for that?
my understanding is that the striping contractor, we need to get a new contract because it's expired. And do you know when, this fall, you think? So we're thinking maybe September. By that time, we'll have a new contract in place. And this will be a priority to get it done. We could work on the signs, though, and get the signs posted sooner than that.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm sorry.
Councilman Magazine?
I'm sorry, I'm hearing some nuances of difference here. Get the signs posted, meaning first we get the study back. And I know you don't want to talk about, you're the one that told me not to talk about signage. So the question I have is, we will then have to approve whatever is recommended before anything's done other than the striping, is that correct?
What you're hearing tonight is whatever comes out of the La Strada traffic study, whatever is recommended. I'm hearing Councilmember Leger and Councilmember Yates say that they want to see what the recommendations are before they're implemented so they can concur and approve those. Is that correct?
But before they're implemented, it's not just seeing the study. It's
what I
putting
said.
in the suppression or whatever you're going to do.
No, we're talking two different things here.
I guess we are.
So we're going to do the
The
striping
striping has
anyway.
nothing to do with La Strada.
Right.
It has to do with Mountainside.
I understand.
So we're going to do that, which is going to satisfy the other homeowners association. They just got some sticker price shock, and so that's they're very much in favor of this, as well as the additional signage.
I'd like to see no parking on that road regardless of whether the gate is open or closed, because that amount of incline, I think, is unsafe for parking.
I agree.
I think once you get the engineering study back, you could add anything you want to it.
Okay.
It's, just to be clear, the original request was that they get the traffic study done and do the things, but they wanted the approval before they actually expended the money to get that study done. What we're kind of back to the beginning again, if we're going to wait and then have you reapprove the traffic study.
And Bob, do you want to just explain what we're talking about for the scope? It's a very limited scope, just as it relates to the gate allowing cars to exit out on the mountainside. It's not doing a whole traffic study of all of mountainside at all.
No, it's just basically the intersection study, really. Sight lines and volume to make sure that things were safe to have that gate open. It wasn't for the entire street.
So basically, what you're saying is that in order for them to go through the expense of doing this, they wanted some sort of reassurance that if it comes back and it is acceptable under that traffic study, that we would be okay with it.
Yeah, the traffic study was going to lay out the mitigation. Randy was going to review that. If it was okay with Randy, then we were going to let them do that and then open the gate.
Yeah.
If we're bringing it back to you again, you're kind of
Yeah, we're,
back to the beginning is
right.
they're not sure whether or not they can do it. I mean, I can let them speak for themselves, I suppose.
If I may, I'm simply interested in what the study is and what the traffic mitigation is, and bringing that back to us prior to expecting anyone to engage in any mitigation or spend any money. I would not, I understand their concern in that regard, that, you know, that we may not approve it at that particular point in time. I think in some cases we've put the cart before the horse on this whole project. So I think we need to study it. I'd like to see a study and see how I feel about how that affects the gate and other co-joint issues that are out there, keeping them separate. So in essence, the motion probably would be to move forward with the study and bring back to council for review and final approval of opening the gate. And that way, no one's at risk. And as you stated, if we can bifurcate that and get into more mitigation items, as the mayor said, signs, so forth and so on, we can address that at a future date.
Councilman Yates?
Respectfully, we are putting them at risk. We're asking them to spend money, not knowing if it comes back and it says it's clean, that's fine.
No, what, Mayor, if I may, what I'm suggesting is a traffic study occurs that validates what needs to be done. And we take a look at that and basically say, okay, if we choose to, that's reasonable, and then approve the request to open the gate, and then they can follow. In other words, we would be back to this motion at a different point in time. No one's at risk. It's just,
Well, we're just, Madam Mayor, we're just asking them.
if we had a
to do
traffic,
the study.
if we had a traffic study in front of us right now, and I had an opportunity to look at and know what the implications were, I'd have no problem approving this motion.
I'm with you.
So I'm simply saying, do the study, bring it back for our review, and then, you know, then more than likely it will be approved if it's the level that it is currently, and then these folks can move forward and do what they are responsible for.
Not to go back and forth, Madam Mayor, but it sounds like they want the approval, then they'll spend the money. If it doesn't come back, they're not gonna open it. I mean, between Randy and Bob, they're gonna say this doesn't work, and so it won't get opened. Maybe we should hear from somebody from La Strada to see what their
Yeah,
intent
that'd be a
was
good
here.
idea.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, if I may, I really don't see a risk. We're simply, you know, typically when we do business in the town, we engage in a study so we can then make a decision.
When I say risk, I'm sorry, Mayor, we're asking them to spend money.
No one's spending money,
Okay,
basically.
I think
Who's
that,
paying for the report?
okay, they're paying for the report. I think they just want some assurance that if it comes back and it's reasonable, that we'll be okay with it. If they're sitting there now listening to us and they hear us like, I really don't think this is a good idea or something like that, then they might not want to do the study. I think they just want some sort of reassurance that if everything is reasonable, that they would go ahead with it. I don't see why we can't give them that. We're reasonable people, and we're willing to look at it, and our staff certainly is going to do their job, and they're going to give us the facts.
May I make a motion?
Make one
I
comment.
think one of the applicants would like to talk to you before you make a motion, if that's okay.
Okay.
I was just going to say, Mayor, the last time we did a study, we ended up putting a cul-de-sac, right?
Yeah,
Technology Drive.
okay.
Madam Mayor and council members, I'm Ron Kosler from the La Strada Homeowners Association. I want to start by thanking Bob and the Development Services Department for all the work they put into this. They've done an extensive study on the traffic and the egress. Grady Miller has had the meetings and brought us together to try to solve the problem. This is a very serious situation for us for reasons that have not even been touched on tonight. And that is that the safety of our community is at stake. We have one entrance and one exit. It's the same, exit and entry. If there's an emergency on our narrow street, emergency vehicles are in there, our people have nowhere to go. They have no way to get out of the community. In effect, by closing our back gate, it creates a cul-de-sac, which is not even close to meeting with your current requirements for a cul-de-sac. It has way too many residents on it, and it has no turnaround. And so you are in effect putting our residents in harm's way. Right now, long vehicles cannot turn around in our street. There's just not room. So what has happened, and it happened actually about a week and a half ago, large trucks end up backing onto Fountain Hills Boulevard. And all the traffic there, and the traffic increasing with the addition of the Starbucks across the street. So it's a matter to us of safety. We're talking about an exit of a few cars a day onto a street that is very lightly traveled. And we've already said that we're very willing to comply with whatever recommendations and our sightline and so forth that the outside study comes up with. So I would ask the council to reconsider and pass this motion tonight to allow us to get on with the study. We've been shut now for several months. It'll probably be several months more before we get the study completed and complete the remediation that's required. But it is our intent to comply with that. We have no problem with that. We have no problem with whatever the town deems necessary to do on Mountainside Drive with regard to parking, with regard to speed bumps, with regard to signs. We don't care. That's up to the city. But the fact is, we are being denied an access that is important to the safety of our community. And I would ask you to consider it on that basis.
Councilman Toles? did you have something?
I just think he should have spoke first. I mean, this is,
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious, I think it's a very common sense, and I would support that. I think it's the right thing to do for your residents, and we should move forward.
And I think the original motion was that, recommended by our staff, was that a full analysis of the intersection analyzed and approved by the town engineer and the completion of all of his recommendations. So I'm good with that.
Mayor, if I may.
Councilman Leger?
I move to approve as suggested.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Do we have any other speaker cards?
No, Mayor. Oh, we have one. No, we do not.
Okay, so the motion is as written by staff. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Consideration of professional services agreement C 2018-093 with AMEC Foster Wheeler for stormwater support services in the amount of $33,270 with 4 additional one-year optional renewals. This was,
Go ahead.
sorry?
Go ahead.
This was tabled from April 3rd, 2018 council meeting. I think I'm losing my voice, Grady.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Henry's going to get it next.
May I address
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor. So I was the one that had the questions on this, and I will thank the town manager and Raymond Reese for spending the time to get together with me and to show me the ridiculous reports that the federal government insists that we have and fill out. And it is clearly an issue that we need to go ahead and pass, because after reviewing it with Raymond and with the town manager, it becomes quite apparent that we don't have the staff or the time to take the photographs and to fill out all the sheets and to take care and answer all the questions that the federal government and the state have. So with that being stated, I moved to approve this.
Okay, any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Council discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, 7-0.
Okay, and we're skipping number 9, going on number 10, consideration of a grant application request to apply for the Prop 302 Arizona Office of Tourism grant monies in the amount of $40,000. Grady?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This particular item, I'm going to go ahead and have our Marketing Communications Coordinator, Grace Guter, come up and speak regarding this grant application request.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Kavanaugh. I come before you tonight with a request to move forward with an application with the Arizona Office of Tourism to apply for grant funding through their program. This will be our 4th year in a row pursuing this grant program, and if we are awarded at the end of the summer this year, pending your permission, that would be 4 years in a row that we have received state funding. So this is an exciting initiative through the Arizona Office of Tourism. They give us monies specifically for marketing, which accounts for about 1/3 of all of our marketing endeavors that we do throughout the year.
Excellent. Councilman Yates?
Just to confirm, the report read, there's no matching necessary. This is a straight-up 40,000. You guys have been awesome. Pretty much half your budget you've reached out. Great job.
Thank you. That is correct. This is not matching. This is an expenditure that the Office of Tourism grants us with no expectations other than that we spend the money exactly as we've outlined in the application to them.
And Madam Mayor, you've won it the last 4 years.
Yes.
Any other comments?
Good job.
You didn't think we were going to say no, right?
I hope not.
Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All in favor? Well, someone makes a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grace. Consideration of professional services agreement C 2018-094 with Brown and Associates for the purpose of covering the cost of third-party plan review and building inspection services for the Copperwind Resort project in an amount not to exceed $350,000 and to direct the town manager to execute the contract. Brady?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is an exciting time. We've been waiting for this moment for a number of months. The Copperwind Resort project is looking like it's going to be moving forward, obviously, and this is going to be great news not only for the resort but for our community and visitors to our town. In order for us to be able to undertake this project of plan review and also inspections, we use a third-party firm to do this. This firm is Brown & Associates, has quite a bit of experience in this kind of area, and basically they will be working on behalf of the town. However, the billing will be billed directly to the Copper Resort developer. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Bob. He probably has some additional details he may want to add.
Yeah, pretty much everything Grady said is correct. This is a pass-through. There won't be any cost to the town. It's going to be directly, they will provide the services to us, and they'll be working for us, but they'll be paid by the developer. It's a maximum not to exceed number, which they probably won't even get close to. This is for phase one. I spoke to Bill Hines about 3 hours ago. He assures me that he will be submitting for building permits tomorrow.
Okay. Questions from council? Councilman
You
Yates?
can't say it enough, it's a pass-through. The town is in no way paying for this, and in the event the permits don't get pulled or they're shorted, again, there's no exposure to the town. It's only if the services are incurred by the developer, and then the developer pays for them.
Correct. Finance has already pulled the $350 out of my budget, so there's no money.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anything else? Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Okay, then just looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, 7-0.
Consideration of Resolution 2018-07 approving an intergovernmental agreement with Maricopa County related to regional emergency operations management and disaster services. Grady?
Yes, Mayor and Council, Maricopa County provides the regional emergency operations management response for disasters and situations that cities and towns may find themselves in. Our fire chief worked with Maricopa County on this. He is our official emergency operations chief for the town and oversees all of our emergency operations planning. I'll go ahead and have the chief come up just in case there's any questions. But this is, I think, a very good thing for the community because certainly, as you know, we're very thin-staffed, and having the resources of the county behind us, it's very incredible, and knowing that they're just a phone call away. So with that, I'll turn it over to the chief.
Madam Mayor, Council, I agree with what Town Manager Mr. Miller said. I think it's a great deal. It roughly costs us $2,400 a year. This is a 5-year intergovernmental agreement that we're required to do some things. The county would be required to do some things. But if we did have a natural disaster, it ties us in with the county and the county resources. And if we were in a reimbursement situation, there's kind of a hierarchy that goes through that where we would go to the county for assistance, the county would go to the state for assistance, the state would go to the federal government for assistance. Without that relationship in there, our request would go way down to the bottom, and we would have to go through all of that, those layers of bureaucracy on our own to try to get any kind of reimbursement. So they provide quite a bit of services for us. We have a county planner that's also helping us to finalize our emergency operations plan. Once we get that back in place and approved, we'll do some emergency management drills and get our emergency operations center up and running and go through those motions for those drills. So.
Any questions for Chief? Nope. Speaker cards? Nope. And I just need a motion.
Mayor, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consideration of the Fourth Amendment to Contract C 2017-002 with PowerTech Contracting, the amount of $15,000 with an aggregate of $71,700 for on-call and call-out traffic signal services. Grady.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is for our on-call services that we have for our traffic signals. We periodically have traffic signals going out after hours on weekends, and this is for that. Go ahead and turn it over to the Public Works Director to explain what's a little bit different about this, because we do currently have a contract in place.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. The contract before you for approval tonight is a continuation of one that was approved late last year. We had a staffing change in regards to our only traffic signal technician, and at that time the contract was simply for on-call. So the contractors were on call every other week and on weekends and provided support to staff. Since that staffing change, they have taken over our maintenance and our on-call services and currently provide all of the services required by the state and federal government and our requirements 24/7. The intent, as part of a request for proposals that the staff has sent out and advertised, is to have this temporary contract approved by the mayor and council in the very near future for a long term for annual maintenance and emergency call-out services for the town's 13 traffic signals. Now, related to the first portion of that, in regards to this amendment, if you have any questions, I will certainly answer them.
Justin, just so we're clear, so is this to get us through the end of the fiscal year?
This is to carry us through the end of the fiscal year, correct?
And into the part of the summer, or just through the end of the fiscal year?
July 1st.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, questions from council? Speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Okay, looking for a motion? And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor, 7-0.
Thank you, Justin. Consideration of Resolution 2018-26, setting forth the tentative budget and establishing the maximum budget amount of the town of Fountain Hills for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018, and ending June 30th, 2019. The council may address any and all items contained in the budget document and initiate any changes prior to the adoption. Grady?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor and council, tonight is the consideration of adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 18-19. You recall last week we had a special session just on the budget, and we were able to incorporate all the changes and that the council had asked for at that meeting. One of the most important things that we do as a town is to plan for the future, and one of the ways we do that is through our annual budget process. A lot of what we do through our planning, such as our strategic plan, our council annual retreat workshop, is reflected in the proposed budget. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our finance director, Craig Rodolfi, who has a much shortened presentation. It's not 107 slides like last week. I believe it's under 30, correct? Craig?
You stole my surprise.
Oh, I'm sorry, Craig. Craig was looking forward to telling you that himself. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to the finance director.
Council and Mayor, I did take the bold assumption, assuming that you understood the last series of 100 slides and that a shorter version would be enough to pique your interest and raise any questions you might have.
We dreamed about those 100 slides.
So based on your suggested changes, this is now the town manager's proposed budget amount, $38,914,866. Once again, it does include the anticipated revenues from the proposed primary property tax, because due to state statute, tonight you are adopting the maximum expenditure amount. And from this point forward, council can make changes to move monies around or reduce, but are not able to increase the total amount. This is how we compare in prior years. This is how we propose to expend the money for the current year. Our budget assumptions have not changed. We've included any anticipated revenues that we are aware of. I do not have any revenues in here for Copper Wind, because at the time we did this, we did not know, and my estimation is that a year from now, we probably will not be seeing a lot of revenue from Copper Wind. Town manager is proposing a 2.5% cost of living increase on July 1st and an additional 2.5% on January 1st. I projected a 3% inflation factor for most areas. Public safety has additional increases, MCSO 10%, rural metro at 3%. This is a listing of the capital projects that council has approved. No changes on this page. On this, take that back. We did change Four Peaks playground equipment. We added $100,000 as a transfer from another project, and Community Services had requested a $50,000 grant. So the total for the Four Peaks now is $250,000. We reduced the wayfinding signs and removed the monument signs.
Mayor,
Councilman Magazine?
I just want to make sure I understand the wayfinding signs number.
This is a carryover number that we anticipated to complete the contract that we currently have. There was no additional work or funding provided.
Thank you.
Our outstanding bonds will have 5.345 outstanding at the end of the fiscal year, June of 19. As the town manager mentioned earlier, there were requests in excess of $1 million for additional funding. Town manager recommended $462,000. I'm sorry. Yes, 462, but of that 462, 245,000 can be offset with additional revenues or existing resources. So the net increase is only 217,000.
Mayor,
Councilman Magazine?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that last statement.
Requests were in excess of $1 million.
Right.
Town manager recommended 462,000.
Right.
245,000 of the 462 will be by generating new revenues or using existing revenues.
That's the part. Could you explain that a little bit?
We have accumulated some of those monies, for example, are from the Court Enhancement Fund. The court collects fees from fines and citations, and as those funds are set aside in the Court Enhancement Fund, only to be used for court improvements. So I believe probably 100,000 of that number is due to those funds. In addition, we have some money from Community Services, the Parks and Recs area. They are increasing some training classes, some recreational activities, which will be, their cost will be offset by the registration and tuition fees. Here's how our budget breaks down by fund. We will be using almost $7 million of built-up reserves from prior years. It's broken down by category. And once again, that large 10% increase is essentially all due to the inclusion of the $7 million in the proposed primary property tax. Otherwise, we'd be seeing a decrease in the expenditures. And this is broken down by department. The general government, the increase of $1,845,000, $1.5 million of that is the allocation for public safety from the proposed primary property tax. The other $5.5 million is allocated to other funds. This is just the general fund representation. This explains or highlights where the increases are coming from. Once again, the $1,859,000 is primarily due to the $1.5 million set aside for public safety costs. Once again, this is only general fund, not all the funds. Here's what our reserve balances appear to be at the end of the year. Of the general fund, about $2.8 million is in the rainy day fund. 1.4 million is in the reserve set-aside fund for unanticipated expenditures. Capital projects fund is down to $2 million. This is our org chart showing our number of employees. The only position being recommended now after our discussion is the part-time IT support specialist.
Mayor,
Councilman Magazine?
I'm sorry, Craig, can we go back to the reserve fund balances? And would you talk about the 7.2 million as estimated end-of-year balance?
It includes the rainy day fund. The rainy day fund is $2.8 million. We have an assigned fund balance that we typically use for unanticipated expenditures, which is 1.4 million. So collectively, those are 4.2 million. That would leave 3 million that would be, in some terms, a surplus.
How is that affected by the 7 million you have in the budget for the property tax?
I don't believe it is impacted by that.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand it, because it's the general fund.
Correct. We allocated 1.5 million for public safety costs.
Right.
We also put in an expenditure. No, I'm sorry, you are absolutely correct. We are only anticipating using the public safety increase for the anticipated increase in public safety costs. So this year, the increase in public safety was roughly $400,000. So that would mean $1 million of the $3 million that was unaccounted for in the general fund is related to that set aside of the public safety costs.
Okay, I have other questions, but I can ask you privately.
The only new position is the part-time IT support specialist. 56.19 is our FTE equivalent. And the cost of living allocations are estimated to be approximately $130,000 for both the July 1st and January 1st. Here's how the personnel costs are allocated between the various funds. This is our proposed total, slightly less than previously. And at council members' request, I had emailed a recap of the changes from last week's meeting to this week to demonstrate that we've removed the items the council questioned, as well as indicating that we now are under the expenditure limitation by roughly $200,000.
Yeah.
All right. Councilman Magazine?
That 38.9 would become something like, what, 31 if we don't have the tax?
Subtract 7,031,914.
And that would be based upon what you put up earlier, the lowest budget in the last 5 years. Is that correct?
Correct.
I think we need to stress that. Thank you.
Moving forward, here's what we have to do. Tonight is our first resolution adopting the proposed budget. We have another resolution, the first meeting in June, that will adopt the final budget, as well as providing some additional items and approving org charts, FTE schedule, pay plan, and job descriptions. And then the third item is at the second meeting in June, where the town adopts the tax levy. Once again, that may or may not include the proposed primary property tax. Just as a recap, here's where our operating costs compare to surrounding communities. I know you've seen this. We live it every day. And this is the general fund operating cost per 1,000 citizens. We've included some other entities outside the valley, any entity with a population between 15,000 and 35,000. And I'm finished.
Oh, okay.
Any questions?
The way you said that.
Any questions?
There, just a question, thank you. Just to clarify, so at our last meeting, our proposed budget was $39,309,425. So since the changes have been made, we're at $38,914,000. So basically, we've reduced what was proposed by $394,000, which puts us under our expenditure limitations. Is that
That is correct.
okay? Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I just want to stress the fact that if that's we don't get that $7 million. If we don't get that $7 million, it's the smallest budget we've had in 5 years, not taking into account inflation. That's really something. That's scary.
Madam Mayor, even if we get it to run an organization, even if we get it to run an organization this size with hundreds of millions of dollars of assets, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Very well done.
Okay, anything else? Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
There's nobody left.
I have a question for Craig. I just want to ask. Part of the sales tax, 2.6%, is on food at the local grocery stores, excluding alcohol, medical marijuana, things of that nature. I'm just reading the code that's in right now. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
What is the council's ability, if this sales tax, this property tax passes, to evaluate eliminating the sales tax on local food purchased in Fountain Hills? And can you come back with the impact on that if we were to take a position? I think something like that would immediately help the residents of
Mayor.
Fountain Hills, and it's
Mayor,
not on-
council members,
Yeah,
sorry to
speak
interrupt.
on
You know, this is not an agendized item. We can definitely provide staff direction to add it to a future agenda and bring back that information.
Can I ask for the information as part of this budget, what the impact of the food,
Ask
2.6%?
direct questions concerning this budget, yes.
Can you come back and tell me what the impact of the local food tax is on our budget?
The information that we receive from the Department of Revenue is not broken down sufficiently that I can itemize just food. I would be able to come up with an aggregate number for what the major grocery stores might be able to provide, what they're paying, but I wouldn't be able to break it down any more finite than that.
Okay, I'd like to see that if possible. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Councilman Yates?
Along the same lines, marijuana is taxed.
Mayor and council members, marijuana is taxed through a different tax structure.
How do we receive that tax?
I haven't read that tax statute recently, so I will go ahead and update that, my knowledge, and report back to you.
And I think we get it in 10s and 20s. Sorry.
Cash. Anything else for Craig? Sounds like it's time for everybody to go home. And there were no speaker cards? No, okay, I asked that. Okay, then, just looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Direction of staff, we just had that. Oh, I skipped the legislature. That's because nothing's happened except they're working on the teachers. And the digital bill was supposed to come back tonight. And I heard from the league that the proponents had made some changes that the league felt was not acceptable. And so I sent that along to Senator Kavanaugh because I believe it's going to appropriations. So that's it. That's all we got. Grady, you have something?
Just under reports from town manager, we've been hearing from some of our residents who are concerned about the proposed consolidation of the service areas of EPCOR. And as a result of that, the proposed rate adjustments that have been proposed would be roughly just under 20%. And that's a huge impact. And what I'd like to do is have Mitesh kind of give you some update as to some of the options that we're looking at and how we can stay abreast of this issue on behalf of our residents here. And then we will have a executive session planned for, I believe, the June 5th date, so that we can also have our town attorney provide some additional information, and you can provide some direction. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to our town attorney.
Thank you, Grady. Mayor, members of the council, as you may know, EPCOR filed for their rate adjustment and service district consolidation back in August 2017. And since that time, the ACC's utility staff and EPCOR have been submitting into the docket before the ALJ certain data and analysis concerning the rate increase, which is expected to be phased in over a 5-year time period. All that has now been said and done, and they are moving forward to their hearing date. It's currently scheduled to have a pre-hearing conference on May 10th, so just coming up in a few days here, and then the 10-day hearing will begin on May 14th. So moving forward here, we have several opportunities. The town and concerned citizens have the opportunity to submit consumer statements to the commissioners, which will be put in the docket and will be before the ALJ while the ALJ is reviewing all the evidence in the record. And then also on the first day of the hearing itself is usually reserved for public comment as well. So concerned citizens can appear before the ALJ and voice their concerns in that forum as well. Now, moving forward, we also have reached out as the town attorney's office to the lead counsel for the ACC to make sure that we are up to speed on what is taking place and any additional opportunities to voice any concerns. And then have also reached out to the lead counsel for RUCO, which is the Residential Utility Commission's office, to see how we can get a channel in for information on the developments of the case as it moves forward. That being said and done, Grady has asked that I attend the pre-hearing conference to make sure that we don't miss out any additional opportunities. Assuming that we do file a statement ahead of time, we still want to be there in case we have an additional opportunity to speak.
Okay. Any questions on that? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. The only other thing is, does anybody have any other reports or activities they wanted to mention? Councilman Yates?
Well, the Chamber Gala was a week ago Friday, and the Mayor's Award, as you know, went to Juan Gonzalez. It was my honor to give it to him, and hablo español con todas personas. And in your
I heard
words,
your accent wasn't that good.
They kept looking, saying, "Is he doing all right? Is he doing all right?"
¿Cómo dice?
Como se dice. But our own Jay Schlum, Senor Schlum won the Business Person of the Year, of course, former mayor of Fountain Hills, and it was a great event. It was well received, a lot of fun. A reminder to the mayor and council, we're not meeting in 2 weeks. It's election day, and so you might want to remind everybody we're not going to be here in 2 weeks.
Thank you. I think you just did. Yeah, and Juan Gonzalez, of course, is from,
Senior Taco,
Senor Taco.
Shrimp Burrito,
yeah.
El
Okay.
Diablo Burrito.
Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, Mayor, if I may, I'm sure everyone here had the opportunity to attend Dark Skies, and it was just an amazing event. I mean, I got there later, and I couldn't find a parking space. And it was just talking to people, it was just overwhelming. It was, and that group did such a tremendous job, putting that event together. So it was returning next year, I believe, I hope. Is it going to be an annual?
Madam Mayor, if I can piggyback on that, all the scientists who came with the telescopes, they have never seen a line like that. Every single telescope had a huge line. They were just spellbound, and it was very well received.
There were some pretty huge telescopes, too.
Oh, my gosh, incredible.
Councilman
We had
Thomas.
another very good fundraiser for the East Valley Institute of Technology, golf outing that happened on Saturday at Desert Canyon, and Jay Schlum and I and his brother-in-law Bill and Don Graham won the tournament. So we represented the town, but that is a incredible facility, and I think they're just going to continue to grow that campus, and that's going to be a great asset for our community.
Wow,
I
that's
understood
great.
there was a question about being able to count.
All right, with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.